What's going on, guys? Brett, what happened? You were gone for a second.
I know it glitched on me. I went dark there for a second. I had to reload.
Good thing it
I
happened
can't see.
before.
Yeah, I know. I can't see the chats on my end either, so you might have to just.
Oh, really?
Cover
Okay.
those.
All right.
Can't see
I can see them
there.
both. But yeah, if any questions come up, I'll just highlight them on the screen. So, General's loving the sign
Sweet.
too, by the way.
Yeah, the new sign. You like it?
Yeah.
I'm pumped on it. Yeah, sweet. Welcome, guys. Welcome to another episode of Mindful Mashup. I think we're on episode 5 or 6 now. Actually.
Yeah, I think it is. I think we're up there now.
Yeah, you guys do need a goose sign.
Yeah, that would be pretty
tight.
sweet.
I'm seeing the
background
comments now.
here.
Yeah, sick. Sweet. Well, today we're hanging out with my friend Krista Francoeur. She has her own company. It's called Wild Remedies. They do magic lattes, so we'll dive into that a little bit and get to know her brand. And then we're talking about Iboga. So we're gonna talk. She had an Iboga experience. We'll chat with her. I'm not sure. I think it was around like a year and a half ago, but we'll talk Iboga and her experience around that.
That sounds like something else I don't know about, so I'm looking forward to this because the last couple of times I've been kind of mind blown by some of these things we can do.
Iboga lattes.
Let's bring up on stream. Yeah. Everyone, welcome Krista. Right? Is that Krista, correct?
Yes. Hi guys. How are you?
Hello. Nice to meet you. I'm Keegs. I'm not the Mindful Meds Keegs, but I'm a different Keegs.
Well, it's lovely to meet you. I'm also super vibing that sign behind you, Brett. It's very fun.
I just got it set up. I just got it set up yesterday. Pretty stoked on it, but I keep getting like a little bit of glare, so I'm still figuring it out.
I like it.
Nice. How are you doing? I feel like I haven't talked to you in a while.
Yeah, this is a fun little impromptu thing to jump on here. When you messaged me yesterday, I was like, I don't know what any of your like NFT live stream, whatever. I'm like, fuck, I feel so old. I don't know what any of that is, but yeah, I'll jump on and share some stories with you guys. I love it.
Yeah. So they have this awesome project called the Goo Balls, which is this NFT project on Wax. And then I work with Adam, and then he loves the Mindful Meds, and one thing led to another. And we started doing a Mindful Mashup show on Friday. So
love it.
It's been fun.
Yeah.
While we're waiting, I should probably put up our ticker for our Mindful Med. Oops, I changed it up here. Hold on. There we go. We have a discount code as well for Mindful Meds, right, Brett?
Yeah, Goo 15.
Yep.
For the Goo crew, 15% off
right now. Goo 15.
Sweet. Well, Krista, while we're kicking that on, do you want to tell us a little bit about the company and everything going on with Wild Remedies?
Dude, that's a beast.
Yeah, absolutely. Yes. So Wild Remedies is a functional tea brand. I launched the company about 6 years ago. Oh, look at that. Look at our pretty website.
Gotcha.
Just pops right
That's
up.
That's great.
Yeah.
I love your stuff too.
Dude,
I'm trying to feel them there, and they're awesome.
Thank you. I'm super pumped. Actually, one of our products, the Almond Lavender Dream, which is a relaxation formula, is up for a potential Product of the Year award. So
what?
Yeah, with BC Food and Beverage. So we're really excited. It's that purple one right there in the middle.
Oh, gotcha.
Yeah. So I'm super psyched. But basically, these are botanical blends, and they are crafted with different nutraceuticals and botanicals, and they kind of work like a matcha. So you can blend them with the milk of choice. But some of them are actually really great too, just with sparkling water. I like to make cordials and things with them, but they are all supplement grade. This one, for example, that you're looking at, our Almond Lavender Dream, this is our sleepy time potion. So it has potent extracts of passion flower, chamomile, and lavender in there. And then the other two are for immunity and beauty. So we have shrooms in our spiced chocolate one, which has like most amazing quality wild Siberian chaga mushroom in it, which has changed my life. And I just love shrooms. And our beauty potion has a really cool nutraceutical that I source from France, which is clinically proven to plump your skin.
Nice.
Yeah.
I love the how are the dreams on the sleepy tea?
Well, so this one isn't formulated to like shift your dreams. It's just more of a relaxation formula. So when I I was going through a bit of a rough period a few years ago, and I was just like, my nervous system was just whacked. Like I was such a mess. And strong passion flower was prescribed to me by one of my naturopaths. And so this is more of just like it's just like a nice calming formula that you want to have before you go to bed if you have trouble sleeping, but even just in the afternoon if you're stressed, right? It does help with the nervous system.
Yeah. Yeah, I've been diving into, I like passion flower a lot. I've been looking into a blue lotus flower for one of my blends. And
I'm kind of interested in that product as well. Maybe we can go and share like some costs on some
that'd be great.
Product to test out. Yeah, there's so many new products that I want to create. And
there's so much stuff. I found the flower reading like some old text from like biblical times. So it was like they used to use this in some aphrodisiac formula that they were working on, and then I'm excited to play with it.
Totally. Yeah. There's some really cool herbs and herbal blends and things too that are quite potent for not like psychedelic dreaming, but definitely for astral projection and that sort of thing. There's one that I've been playing with, but it's like it's kind of hard to stomach. It's extremely bitter, like so bitter that it's hard to even take like a sip of it. But it's interesting. You do feel it working right away. Like it's actually kind of like when you do combo, and it's like you start to get flushed and your heart starts beating a little bit. It does that to you.
So it's that like central nervous system activation kind of.
Yeah, you definitely do feel it. But yeah, it's just kind of tough to get down. You can actually opt to smoke it too, which I've tried and worked for me. So it's pretty cool.
Oh, interesting. I'll have to check that out. This immune one's cool too, because cacao with mushrooms, I think there's a lot of power in that as far as helping the cacao with all its benefits and then helping carry the nutrients of the chaga too.
And it's friggin' delicious.
And it's friggin' delicious.
Don't forget that.
How do you create the blends, or how do you decide what to make and why?
Honestly, it's funny. Like this whole company has been built around the health challenges that I've had in my life.
Okay.
So that really is the karma of my life. Is ever since I was a child, I have just been riddled with like so many different health challenges, and I was very, as we all are, especially in our younger years, kind of ingrained in that Western medical system, feeling like this is all it's ever going to be, a victim of my circumstances, that sort of thing. And then I had to go through like a whole dark night of the soul situation, become enlightened to the fact that there are actually a lot of other healing modalities out there that actually work by, helping the root cause. And so a lot of the ingredients and the purpose for the products that we create are things that have just helped me, along my journey. And I love food. So, crafting something that also tastes really delicious is a big focus for us as well.
Nice. And so how long ago did you start this?
Well, I guess we can say 6 years ago. These products that you see here, we just launched those a year ago.
Okay.
Prior to that, there's like a whole long story about how I created my first tea product. It was a chaga mushroom tea. And I was actually living in Malaysia at the time. I was living overseas. And it had a series of mystical events happen in a very short period of time that kind of showed me that, hey, you need to look into medicinal mushrooms, chaga in particular. So I started just playing with flavors and different ingredients in my place in Malaysia. I used to hand make this product. And then I took it all over the world. But I had no idea what I was doing at that point. So it started as like a very I'm just making tea in my kitchen, and launched at the Bali Spirit Festival. Almost went to jail because I put a whole bunch of mushroom powder in my bag and didn't even think that was going to be a problem until I got on the plane and I was like, oh shit, that probably wasn't the best idea. Yeah, so it's trials and tribulations in the beginning of not knowing what I'm doing, and so I'd say in the past 2 years, decided to go legit and build a proper business plan and create products that are ready to go to market.
And what's the website again? So we can put that into our chat for everyone to find it.
The website that we have up right now?
Yeah.
wildremediesshop.com.
Wild Remedies Shop, okay.
Yeah.
Nice. Yeah, I think that's where you really see the differences in some of these businesses that are passion forward, but also things that have worked for you, because you're coming at it from such a genuine place, and that it seems to really respond with people, and then it works. So you're not going through this whole testing phase, it's coming from a different spot.
Yeah, for sure. And that's everything with our company, right? Like we've kind of incorporated this education component into it. Now we have a podcast called the Wild Remedies Podcast, and it's great. It's so fun. I interview people that I've met from all over the world, specializing in all of these different healing modalities that I've had to do myself over the years, right? And it ranges everything from like energy healing, working with psychics, to just, Iboga.
Cool.
We had Mark come on who did the Iboga ceremony that I did a few years back. And yeah, so that's really cool. And I kind of love to see that come full circle and building community and being able to share stories and stuff within the platform as well.
Totally. That's awesome. Sorry, I should have mentioned that. I caught the one with you and Jay, and it was a lot of fun. I really enjoyed it.
Yeah, that's definitely one of our most edgy ones. And we do edgy on the show. Like, it's like,
nice.
We talk about everything, and yeah, the one with Jay was pretty hilarious. I highly recommend it.
Yeah.
Check that one out.
Yeah. And there's that one, is it on YouTube as well?
It is on YouTube as well. Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
Cool. We'll add the links in there after in the description.
Sweet.
That's awesome. So that is a great transition into Iboga and what led you to Iboga. So you were on this path of self-discovery and self-healing, and you came across it, or were you in Malaysia, or how did that come to be?
Yeah. So I was actually in Malaysia at the time when I had first heard about it. So I had two guy roommates. I called them my boys. I lived with them for a couple of years. And one of them, Roman, we were watching a documentary, I think, on Iboga. And he's like, oh yeah, man, like this looks so cool. I want to try it. And I'm watching this documentary and I'm like, the fuck? Like that shit looks insane. Like that looks scary. Like, I don't know. No, I'm never gonna do that. Are you crazy? No, never.
Because don't they say with Iboga too, it's like this, you're walking to the precipice of death, and it's great for people with depression because this is like really confronting in that sense if they've been, and then when you come back, you have this whole gratitude for life.
Well, it's very intense, right? Like,
yeah.
I'll put it that way in the simplest form is like, it's not an easy experience, right? It's not for the faint of heart. And it's generally something that you want to do when it's a last resort scenario, right? And I don't know what shifted in me, but something happened at one point. Well, okay, so I know what it was. I had gone through all of this healing, I guess, just focusing on nutrition, putting better things in my body, and but I still smoked cigarettes. And so I started smoking when I was like 14, right? And it's hard, right? Like nicotine is like more addictive than heroin. Like it's really freaking hard to quit, right?
Especially when you're in Asia and stuff, you can smoke everywhere.
Oh my God. Yeah, and everybody did, right? Like everybody smoked. But it was getting to the point where I was just so sick of myself because I would literally get up in the morning and before work, I'd make my green juice and then I'd go stand out on my balcony and like drink a green juice and smoke a cigarette. And I'm like, okay, and I'd tried to quit a lot before, like I think 12, 20 times, I don't know, a lot. And I was just like, you know what? I'm getting really sick of this. I need to get to the next level of like kicking this habit and I need some help doing it. And from what I understood from Iboga was that it does something to the body that essentially cleans you out of like any physical addiction whatsoever.
Okay.
So so I did some research. I was like, you know what? I'm just gonna see what's out there.
And this was still in your mind from when you had saw the documentary with your Roman buddy?
Yeah. So it was still like, this seemed like a pretty stressful ordeal, but something was just pushing me towards it, being like, no, I think this is something that you should explore. So I did a little bit of research and I connected with, well, I don't know if I sourced a couple of different places, but anyway, I ended up connecting with a company in Vancouver called Ibogaine, which is who I ended up doing the series of ceremonies with. And I had a call with Mark, their founder, shaman. And it was a really good conversation. He's like, yeah, you know, like, I think we can help you. You can definitely get everything out of this. It really has to do with intention, right? That's very important. And I was coming to a close at my time living in Malaysia. And I thought, okay, you know what? I'm going to do it, you know? And so I booked this session, left Malaysia, did a little bit of traveling, and then was picked up. I went back to Canada, was picked up at the airport by Mark, and he took me directly to the place where we would do the ceremony.
Oh, wow. So straight into it.
Yeah. So because I knew, you know, like, this is a big deal. I don't want to like sit there and hum and haw over it. Like, I just kind of have to jump in with both feet.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's interesting. Like, I really saw that reflected in my experience. And it was shown to me pretty profoundly that plant spirit medicine really is a spirit, right? Like, it's not just a simple chemical reaction of DMT or whatever. There is something more to it. Because of the intention that I had, and because I was ready to go right into it, I had a much different experience than some of the other people who were participating in ceremony
Cool.
with us. Yeah, so there was just 4 of us, but 2, like myself and one other guy there, we were like all in, right? Like, before we took our first big dose, we were just like, fuck yeah, like literally high-fived and like, let's go and let's do this. And within 10 minutes, like, I was like, whoa, like, I gotta get down on the mat here on the ground. And it just, you know, it hit me right away. The medicine started working quite quickly. But with the other 2 people in ceremony, they were quite trepidatious. They were asking a lot of questions, needing to like have answers. And even though they took significantly more medicine than myself and this guy did, they barely experienced the quote unquote high. Like, I think the medicine was still doing some stuff in the background, but it wasn't nearly the experience that we had, which I thought was really interesting.
Yeah. How do you take it?
It seems
Sorry, Brett.
No, go for it.
So the way that you take it, so traditionally it is a giant handful of powder that tastes putrid, as all plant medicines generally do. Actually, I love the taste of psilocybe. Like, I just chew on that and that's great. But so it's a big mouthful. And
you're not mixing it with water or anything?
You can swallow it with a very small amount of water. So because there is such a cleansing effect, like there was a lot of vomiting. There was a lot of purging, and so you don't want to have a lot inside you. So it starts initially with that format, and then they'll continue to give you pills after. But a lot of, and I've learned this in Ayurveda too, you know, some of the potency in the medicine has to do with the taste. So even if it tastes terrible, that is actually part of the medicine. Yeah.
Okay. And this is an African tree bark as well, right? From
it's a root.
That's grounded up. It's a root?
Yeah.
Oh, it's a root. Okay.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. So it's interesting. And I had this conversation with Mark. We haven't launched his podcast yet. So if anybody's interested and want to hear about the whole experience, stay tuned, but we'll be launching that one soon. But we were having, you know, a discussion about that and how that was interesting about the fact that it's a root, and it's kind of, to me, it's like this underground quality, right? Like, Iboga just kind of like sucks you down. It feels like when you take the medicine and it's working. It's a very interesting experience. So I was very cognizant of everything that was happening around me. Like, I wasn't just totally gone. But the physical experience was quite jarring. So you generally do the ceremony at night and you have a mask on. Any sort of light like if you were to take your mask off and like try to open your eyes, any sort of light entering your eyes, it's just it's like it's just spinning and flying around everywhere. It's extremely disorientating, and you're quite dizzy. So when you do need to get up to go to the washroom and that sort of thing, you need to literally have somebody physically help you. Like it's very hard to walk. It's kind of like just having the spins constantly.
Okay.
And one ceremony generally lasts around 12 hours. And for me, I felt the effects for at least 48 hours.
Wow.
So I probably didn't sleep for 2 days for the first ceremony. And so it's like 12 hours of that. They bring you to a bed where you're kind of recovering. It is a little stimulating, so it is difficult to sleep. At least it was for me. So I probably didn't sleep for 48 hours. Slept on the third day and woke up still dizzy. So for us, the ceremony was done every three days. I believe we did 2, and I was like, holy shit, I can't believe I'm going to do another one of these, because it is quite rough. Like, it's not like, you know, even ayahuasca, but it's like, okay, you're signed up for like 6 to 12 hours. Like, this is, you signed up for like 3 days of holy shit, which is why it was something that, you know, frightened me, and is definitely something that you don't want to just kind of mess around with. I think it's really important to work with a shaman and someone who's like highly trained. We had a paramedic there as well, which was actually quite nice, just especially as a Westerner, and doing something that can seem a little bit scary, but just having that peace of mind, knowing that like, hey, you know, if whatever, say it gets too much or whatever, there's somebody there. But I never really felt that. Like, it was a beautiful experience. I saw many beautiful things. Like, it expanded my mind in ways that I didn't even know possible. I remember at one point, because the visuals were just so strong with the eyes closed. And I remember at one point, it was almost like, you know, like space warp, right? Where like all the stars are like flying in your face. I don't know how else to explain that, but essentially it just felt like all of these stars were flying towards me at light speed, and every single one of them was a memory. And whatever this medicine was able to do with my mind and how it expanded it, I could literally understand and process every single one of those memories that were just flying at me and penetrating, and I could process like 2-3 memories at a time, which was absolutely wild. Like, I mean, yeah, it was just my consciousness was on a completely different level. So it was very interesting.
Cool. Mm-hmm. That is interesting. Well, that's wild. And that's, you know, like you said, with the other 2 who came in more hesitant and sounds like maybe lacking intention, and why they were even there more. If you're not ready to open up and come into intention, how important that is, right? To for the experience. So there's other work to do, maybe in preparation for Iboga.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely.
Oh, sorry.
Sorry, go ahead.
I was just going to ask, so it's because that first session, or I don't know, I guess how many sessions are there? If you're trying to, for you were trying to get rid of that addiction to the nicotine, right? So did it take more than that first session of, we'll call it 12 hours, but it took you longer, but was there a longer period where you had to wait and do it again, or what happened?
Yeah, so the session, or the ceremonies that I signed up for, it was, I believe, a week-long I don't know, program, for lack of a better word.
Yeah.
And that included two ceremonies. So yeah, you need, you know, a couple of days of recovery before jumping into the next one.
Okay.
I felt like it wasn't until like the second ceremony that I was like, okay, like I'm done with the nicotine. And it really was like, it was just abrupt, and it was crazy because it wasn't just that. I got off of everything that I was on. So I had also been struggling to get off of antidepressants for a really long time, but having an issue with withdrawal symptoms, right? So I'd get like brain zaps or, you know, dissociation and all of this sort of stuff. There was something else that I was on too, that I came off of, something pharmaceutical, but literally came, like, just stopped taking all of it just to be like, let's see what happens.
Yeah.
And 0 withdrawals. So, I mean, you still need to make a cognitive decision to not pick up a cigarette again or whatever, right?
You don't feel the itch now.
It really does take that physical addiction out. And this is why it's so potent in therapeutics for opioid addiction.
I was
Yeah.
reading that.
That's
Okay.
where it's being used a lot right now.
And
Yeah.
could be why, like, why your purges were so intense as well. Because you would probably,
Totally.
with all that, would probably, I'd imagine, be pretty deep.
Well, that, and also I have really bad,
Gross to
I get
think
really
about.
bad motion sickness, right? Like I get
Ah.
car sick, like going on rides. So for me, it was just like, I think it was just extra brutal. And I mean, I was good at just breathing through it and whatever, but yeah, I think it was just extra uncomfortable for me on that aspect.
Yeah. What's a curious thought is, with, oh shoot, I'm forgetting it now. With the eye drops there,
Oh, Sananga.
with Sananga, how
Mhm.
I found a lot of it is as the pain is actually helping you let go. As you let go
Mhm.
consciously, that pain dissipates. Was
Mhm.
my experience, anyways. And it's interesting. It'd be interesting to know if what Iboga is, if you're able to let go of that kind of that uneasy feeling. Is that when you were going into those conscious states, did it feel like that dissipated for those times?
Yeah, I mean, it didn't really dissipate. I feel like I already had a pretty profound practice of just breathing through difficult experiences. That's very much part of, my human design, my gene keys. I have like this very strong energy of, yo, you're gonna go through like a lot of really gnarly shit in your life. And, these are really difficult scenarios to go through, but it creates resilience. I get a lot of practice on learning to be uncomfortable in uncomfortable experiences, right? So like I started getting severe panic attacks when I was like 16 and could barely leave my house for like a year, right? So like I've from a very young age, I've experienced really hard, whether it be like physical or emotional disturbances, and have had to learn how to like breathe through that shit or realize that this too shall pass. So there were times during that ceremony where, it did feel quite overwhelming and, oh, this is really hard. And oh my God, is this ever going to end? But I've always learned to just come back to the breath, and I can breathe myself through anything at this point. And so that was very helpful for me.
Cool. And that's such a good point too. Like, because breath is such a grounding key, and we all have the capacity to use it as a tool.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
But
absolutely.
Also a good point is that we all have these different makeups. So it might be a different experience for each person.
Oh, totally. And
right?
yeah, I mean, everybody's different. One size fits all approach for anything doesn't apply. And same for this, because after the ceremonies were done, Mark, who facilitated the ceremonies, he finally started, because he didn't want to give us any sort of expectations of like, here's what you're going to experience. But afterwards, he started sharing some of the experiences that other people have had or that he's facilitated with. And it was like some people, like they have experiences where they gone, like they on like a whole other fucking plane. And I was like, okay, I definitely wasn't there. But yeah, he had some pretty funny stories to share. But I like that he didn't do that initially. It was just like, I'm not going to tell you what's going to happen. Like, you just have to step into it and have your own experience.
Totally. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And just that being said too, we're just not promoting it in any way, but it's good to talk about it, I think, because it's bringing awareness to a lot of questions that are circling these days. So it's great to hear about people's experiences. Yeah,
it is very much it's something that you want to reach for if you're looking for some major transformation, if you're looking to clear addiction. I also want to mention that it's not something that you should mess around with by yourself. I did encounter an individual who, I don't know where he got his hands on some of the medicine, but he tried doing it himself, and he ended up, I don't know if he had like a hardcore panic attack while, under the medicine or whatever, but he ended up having permanent tinnitus afterwards.
Wow.
And so, so I don't, like with any plant spirit medicine, like it's really important to approach it with reverence and to do it properly. And the reason that these medicines are administered in a ceremonial setting is because that's the way that it's meant to happen, right? And when you're working with a shaman who, you know, can see energies, they can, you know, move things around for you if things are starting to get a little bit gnarly, to talk you through some situations, or even to be able to, you know, because during the Iboga ceremony, I had a list of things that I wanted to go through. And so as you're in the medicine, you know, the shaman has the list of things that you want to go through, and he's talking to you about those things during the ceremony so that you can actively work on them. Because if you're just doing it yourself, like, I couldn't have opened my eyes to even look at that paper to read it. Like, it would have been all over the place, right?
And
yeah,
they've been through the journey and the training to connect with the spirit of that medicine, so they're able to treat you properly, right? Like, I think that's insanely important. Yeah. Where was this? So it was in Canada, and you guys went out, was it at a retreat or a bush area?
Yeah, so it was in Squamish. Yeah, so basically what they do is they just rent homes, right? And they just kind of set up, well, everybody goes to the house, we get picked up from the airport, and it's kind of like a retreat. So they had somebody there who cooked for us, which was really great. You know, they had the paramedic that was on standby if needed. Oh my God. And they had a massage therapist too, which was really nice. You got a massage after your first experience, which I needed. Like, it was definitely a nice part of the experience. And I mean, you know, I think that if you did it extremely authentically somewhere in Africa, it wouldn't be that luxurious. Like, this is definitely like a Western you know, experience, but I enjoyed it. I thought it was great.
Yeah. Oh, cool. So how about the integration afterwards? That's a crucial part with these, when sitting with these medicines and stuff as well, right? And I know even with, I shouldn't say even with, but coming with mushrooms and microdosing, that how important that integration is into your life afterward and or during, but with microdosing. But how did you go about the integration?
So I think with the integration aspect, like the biggest thing for me was that is that my mic making that sound?
I don't think so.
You guys hear that? No? Okay. Yeah, for me, it was like the biggest goal was just to have a healthier body and to self-sabotage less, right? And so for me, it was just a mindfulness practice that I had to continue with. You know, I would also look back at the goals and stuff that I had initially working with the medicine. But I think, you know, that was probably something that was missing a little bit. Like, we didn't do a whole lot of like after integration stuff. Like, I definitely had a check-in or two with Mark afterwards. But for me, it just kind of, it felt like it just sort of like did the trick. Like, it just worked and I felt better.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a wild way to tackle smoking. I love that.
I'm like a very like 0 to 100 person. Like, I don't know. Let's just do it. Let's just go all in.
How did you find it after being with, like, coming in social situations or times you used to smoke? Did you just, that switch was gone? Or you just had different perspective around it?
Yeah, I mean, I definitely had to be more careful with drinking for sure, because that was always a trigger for me. So I just kind of didn't do that sort of stuff for a while. Like, you kind of have to step back from putting yourself in those scenarios, right? Like, for example, like say it was heroin that I was trying to detox from. Like, you wouldn't put yourself in the same situation where you're seeing, you know, all the people that you would normally do drugs with and that sort of thing. Like, you have to put yourself in a different environment.
Right.
Yeah. So there was just things that I needed to be more mindful of in that sense. But there were some things that were interesting. I didn't mention this before, but I had some pretty profound healing experiences that I wasn't really expecting. And a lot of it had to do around just painful childhood wounds or ways that I had acted in certain scenarios as a younger person. And there was just like a lot of like remorse and regret that came up on my second day of like recovery after the first ceremony. Like I cried for hours and hours and hours. So there was like a lot of like emotional purging. And because a lot of times like addiction, it's not just, we know this, like if you've ever read anything by like Gabor Mate, addiction isn't just like addiction. There's a lot of trauma and stuff behind that. So the medicine really works with that as well. So there was a lot of unearthing of, I guess, trauma and emotional stuff as well. That was really important. I should have done that before.
Well, I guess that makes sense, right? It takes you to the depths of what you were going for the cigarette for to begin with.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And there was stuff that came up that I was really surprised, and I didn't even realize that was a thing at that point. So a lot of things that were excavated were like, oh, okay, well, here's a bunch of shit that I've brought up and I'm going to have to look at and work through for the next little while as well.
Yeah. It's funny how things like something like smoking on the surface seems like not minuscule, but like something that you would be like, okay, it's just quitting smoking, but it's really just all these layers to it, like this iceberg underwater of what you're going to uncover.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, for me, smoking, like what I identify it with, is it's almost like it's needing to be filled with something, right? There's like a lack of fulfillment. And this has to do with, feelings of sadness or being bored. Like it's reaching for this external thing to soothe something internally that feels out of alignment, or there's the word that I'm trying to think of that I can't think of right now, but basically like restless. It's like this restlessness, right? And so, how can you get to the root cause of what that is, right? Like there's a whole bunch of layers under there that need to be looked at before that feeling of needing to reach outside oneself in order for some sort of like society or like, something to just make you feel more connected or less bored or whatever that is. That's the root cause that needs to be looked at, right? And that's what these plant medicine can help uncover. Yeah,
that's super cool. The restless one is really interesting. That's one that I know a lot of my family has, and I've worked with a lot, and it's just, and I think a lot of people have, right? Because we live in this society of just like phones always going off, so much shit going on, and then you're like, why is it so hard to just kind of just chill for a second?
Yeah.
And then there's all these other underlying things.
Mm-hmm.
So have you done it again, or do you have to do it again, or do you what's the protocol on that? I don't know, because you got rid of your the need for nicotine. So do you do it again now, or?
Well, I would consider doing it again for sure. But it's, again, like it was a challenging, it was a challenging experience. When I had that call or the podcast episode with Mark recently, he was like, yeah, you should come down to Mexico. Like, let's do a ceremony. And I was like, like I definitely feel like I need a touch up for sure. There are some habits and things that have kind of like cropped back into my life that I'd like to look at a little bit more closely. But I haven't booked anything yet. I haven't decided to do it again, but for some folks, and especially that are going through something that's really profound, like a opioid addiction, it might be something that you have to do once a month for a certain period of time. I don't know. It's still kind of the wild west out there when it comes to this sort of stuff, but there are practitioners that probably have a protocol. But for someone like myself, it's like, maybe it's something that you want to revisit in a year, 10 years, or maybe just the one time was enough, right?
Yeah. Maybe you said this already. When did you do it? How long ago was it?
It was a long time ago. I think it was the winter of 2017.
Okay.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so about 5 years ago now.
5 years.
Yeah, it was a while ago. Mm-hmm.
Have you had a smoke since then?
Oh yeah, Yeah, I
Oh
definitely
yeah.
have. Yeah, I mean, it was a long time until
Yeah.
I did. But I went through a very, very difficult situation about a year and a half to 2 years after that. That just, yeah, it tore me to shreds. It was one of the hardest dark nights of the soul that I've ever had. And this is this recurring pattern in my life, right? It's like I get to this point of like feeling good, and then just something happens to bring me back down. Okay, what are the lessons and things here? But yeah, some self-medicating started happening again at that point, unfortunately.
Mhm.
So yeah, there was a little bit of a struggle there. But yeah, that's just part of the lesson for me, right? Is like just looking at all
Totally.
of these things and like, what's the lesson here? You know, how can I work through this? And yeah, we're all human, right? We all have our vices
Well, that's
and things
it.
to work on.
Yeah, we're all pretty hard on ourselves all the time. So I think it's something that's
Mhm.
like identify, move on.
Yeah.
Interesting.
But I
That's
didn't
cool.
ever actually really end up smoking cigarettes again. I dabbled with like vaping and, you know,
Mm.
like maybe cigars or something, but like something about cigarettes just like absolutely
That
disgusting.
was going to be my follow-up question. Did it taste the same? Because
Yeah,
I did
no,
it through a brief
no.
period where I smoked, and then I quit, and then now I can't stand the taste of them or smell of them or anything.
Yeah, no, like even the smell, like it almost makes me angry. I don't know. It's weird. Like it's definitely, yeah. No,
Yeah.
no cigarettes for this girl.
I still like stogies though. I still like the odd stogie.
Yeah, it's really interesting. Like I'd love to learn more about like the psychology behind, because as far back as, you know, we know of, humans have smoked, right? Like
Yeah.
whether it's like a peace pipe or whatever it is, like something about tobacco. And there is medicinal uses for tobacco. I did a really cool
Totally.
tobacco ceremony this summer when I went to forest school. And that was really quite interesting, right? There is medicine in tobacco, you know, the stuff that we're buying in the store in cigarette form or whatever, like that's all laden with a
Yeah.
whole bunch of garbage. But you know, you can approach things like tobacco and, you know, hape, right? Or tobacco
Yeah.
being in hape or rape, can be used for energetic clearing and all of these different things. So there are ways that you can use this medicine in a way that is in more alignment, but the spirit of that plant has quite a strong ego. And
Yeah.
so that's why you can get sucked in. Same with marijuana, right? There's some people that you know, just end up using it probably more than they should. It's that strong ego aspect of the plant that'll keep, you know, having you come back. So if you are prone to addiction, then it's something that you want to watch out for.
Right. Yeah, because tobacco itself it's a nootropic as well. It has some nootropic compounds.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's psychoactive. So it does create like that calming aspect. Really great for like communing with other people too. And that's why it was used in the peace pipe, right? It kind of like has everybody chill out and you can like have a conversation about what's going on in the community. Yeah, so it's kind of cool.
Sweet. Yeah, I know. I picked up chewing natural snus, and it works pretty well for me. It's a good little nootropic.
Yeah, that's
You gotta be
interesting.
aware of it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I use it like in the afternoons or stuff like that, and if I'm doing some reading, I like it too.
Mm-hmm.
Do you have any? Do you use any of the Mindful Meds products?
I have tried them, and I actually had a lovely experience a few weeks ago at what was that retreat with Kevin? And,
yeah, on
yeah.
The winter solstice one.
Yes.
I believe.
Yes. Yeah.
Just recently, right?
Yeah. Somebody gave me, it was a nice little microdose, and I felt fucking fantastic. I was just like, I was kind of bored, to be honest. I mean, like it was a great event, but I was just like, I don't know. I was a little sleepy. We were doing a lot of like meditation stuff, and I don't know. I was just getting a little bit sleepy, but I was like, ooh, I felt like a lot more, I don't know, connected, open, Yeah, I felt fabulous, and I was like, okay, I need to get my own personal stash of this stuff.
Yeah, we got to get you some. I didn't realize you didn't have it.
100%. I was gonna buy it that day, and I can't remember what happened. Oh, I snuck out early. That's why.
Yeah, I remember talking to you. I thought you snuck out early.
I did. Yeah. So next time I see you, I'll pick some up.
Yeah. Well, I got to try this cacao chaga concoction too. So maybe we can do a trade.
Yeah.
100%.
What do you think, Higgs? Are you lining up to do Iboga here soon?
Here's my thing with it, because I don't really have any pressing addictions. Like I never smoked. I don't drink caffeine. I don't really have something I need to do every day. And so I don't know, maybe if it was more for like a psychological thing, it's not, I don't have anything where I'm like, I need to do this, and if I don't do it, I'm not going to be able to survive, kind of thing. So I don't know how it would go for me. I'm sure I can find a way to be open about it and do it, but I don't know if there will be a lot of benefit if there's something that I don't need to really purge myself of. You know what I mean? Not saying I don't have anything that I shouldn't be doing, but.
Well, that's it too. Well, it's really if you feel called to it for some reason, that's when maybe you should be exploring it.
That's the thing. It's like you should feel called to it. And I mean, there is a whole other level to using the medicine rather than just for addiction, right? So like the story of how Iboga was, I guess, introduced to the Bwiti tribe. So the Bwiti tribe in Africa is the original tribe that started using Iboga. And so there's all kinds of healing aspects that can happen. It doesn't necessarily have to do with addiction. It's just people discovered that it works well for that. And so that's why we're using it therapeutically. But I mean, like I saw my soul.
Yeah.
Like I saw my soul, and she was like really, really dope. Like, I don't know how this came into my mind, but it was like, I saw myself. I was like in like this red, like one-piece outfit, and I had like this long ponytail. I don't know, it was a whole thing. But anyway, it was profound. Like there's a lot more to it. I mean, similarly to, why someone would do ayahuasca, right? Like I think there's a lot of profound spiritual insights that you get from it. It's not necessarily just for curing addiction.
Yeah.
So yeah, but again, it's not the most easy journey.
Yeah. I feel like I would be more inclined to do, what was the other one we were talking about with Jay, Brett, the combo, or what is it?
Yeah, combo.
Yeah, I think I would be more inclined to do that one, that ceremony.
Yep.
Yeah.
Brett and I have both done that with Jay. And it's not psychedelic.
Right.
But it is, there's definitely a lot of physical healing that happens with
and I think that would be really cool, because I have, like, I think last time when Jay was on, I was telling her I had a couple, like, these same recurring ailments that haven't really been fixed by, just kind of there, and I think that'd be really cool to do that. But maybe I could make it a whole month, go up there for that, and then go 2 weeks later do some Iboga. I don't know.
Yeah. It was funny. Something like combo ended up being I got a lot of spiritual growth through it. So it really can depend, right, on, and like depending on what you come into something for. And I wasn't really expecting that, but.
Well, it sounds like this is also a lot of spiritual growth as well, and a lot of kind of fighting through all the things that have been built up, pent up through your whole life until you've done that ceremony, right, Krista?
Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
So I think, I'm sure I could find a benefit out of it. Maybe it's makes me a little nervous, honestly, but I don't know.
I don't think anybody does Iboga being like, yay, I'm so excited. This is going to be such a fun experience. Like, it's not fun, but it is profound, right?
I'm sensing a theme here, Brett, that every time somebody comes on talking about some sort of ceremony, it's not fun at all.
Yeah, I know. We haven't. I'm trying to change the thought process around it, but
no, I know it's really making me think. It really is. It really is. I think I said it last time. Something that should be that should be healing, and that should be getting you through a lot of difficulties. Shouldn't be easy, or else everyone would do it, right? So I think there is some sort of potency around that.
Yeah, and it's to me like it's like a rite of passage, right?
Yeah.
So it's like you need to go through the hard aspects. Like if you're gonna do something that is literally excavating all of this stuff from inside of you, whether it be like memories, emotions, all of these things, like it's going to feel uncomfortable, right?
Yeah.
And so, because that happens in a physical way, which can be like purging and being dizzy and feeling scared and all of those things, it's just about being prepared for it, right? Like, although I was very uncomfortable in that experience physically, I was prepared for it, and I was fine. Like, I knew that that's what I had signed up for. That's what I'm here for. And just, take me, whatever you need to do, medicine, like just do it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think the power in getting comfortable with the uncomfortable, right? Because there's so much discovery there, and we tend to really push everything, and we just want to live in this. But the yin and the yang, like the negative and the positive, it's all part of it. You don't get one without the other. So I think learning
and
to
that's a spiritual
explore that
practice.
can be.
Yeah, and that's a spiritual practice within itself, right?
Totally.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, sweet. So you have this. Do you know when this podcast is coming out with Mark?
No, it'll be in maybe 2 or 3 weeks from now. So we've had a whole bunch that have piled up. We've got some really great ones coming out. I interviewed Mark Groves. I don't know if you guys know Mark Groves. His Instagram handle is Create the Love. He's absolutely phenomenal.
Cool.
But that is the one that is coming out this week, or what is it right now? Friday. So Monday. That's going to be a really big one. We have a conversation about health sovereignty. Mark has a really phenomenal background as a human emotional connection specialist and psychology. He also used to be a pharmaceutical rep for 14 years. So he has a very interesting perspective on the pharmaceutical industry, what's gone down in the past couple of years. So if anybody's going to tune in, that's a really good one to hop on to, for sure.
Can you share the link to that, or how can we find it?
Yeah, absolutely. Actually, if you just go to our website, at the top it says podcast, and we list all of our podcasts on the site, and then each post has links to Spotify and Apple and YouTube, all the things.
Okay.
Oh, sweet.
Yeah.
Cool. I'm definitely going to check that out. That sounds very interesting, especially with everything going on right now.
Very enlightening.
Very enlightening. Sweet. Well, thank you for coming on and chatting with us and sharing your story.
Thanks for having me. That was
really
fun.
Cool. Yeah, it was awesome. Yeah, so everyone can find, we got all the links in the description here. I attached the Third Wave link too for some more info around Ibogaine, and they do a really good job at education and surrounding all these different psychedelics and stuff. So I always love to add that in the chat. And then, don't forget about the GOO15 discount code to Mindful.
Right up at the top.
And you can check out all Krista's info there in the description. So you got anything there, Keegs?
No, next time we'll be live will be Monday night at 9 p.m. Eastern for our regular show. Other than that, we will see you on the next one.
Sounds good, man.
All right.
Next. See you later.
Yeah.